They are water. You come barreling toward them, and something snaps to life inside this demon. You barely perceive them moving. Just a flash of two blades, and they're behind you. And you pivot, you turn, you thrust your gauntlets forward, and they're in front of you again. They step around you, and when you slice your blades down, they intercept it with their own, with the twin blades, with their namesake, twin blades of sorrow. They are an expert swordsman. When they were alive, well, you don't know anything about Suisian when they were alive, but you catch a glimpse of it now. A glimpse they never showed you even when they were training you for over 100 years. A glimpse of who they used to be. Desperate, hungry, urgent, trying to get through to you. There is that callous, cold, perfect, ruthless form that they drilled into you, that they taught you. But there's something else underneath it too. They're not fighting to kill you. They're fighting with mercy. They are fighting with hope. And that, despite their movement like water, despite them weaving around and between you and underneath you and above you like fluid wind, that opens up a weakness in their armor. Because it's a vulnerability. It's a give where there should be iron. Righteous fury. Costs of your divinity. Which limb do you take from them first?
Oh my god. Left at the elbow.
Left at the elbow. Okay.
They take it in one hand. They brace against the shoulder. And they
You yank it? You don't even slice it?
No.
That is even more brutal than I was anticipating. Yeah. A brace, a grab, a yank, and it goes flying. It hits the Crimson River, washes away. The blade that hand was holding flies into the air, and you see blood, not crimson like Longdu's strangely was, but blue. You see, every demon you've ever felled, every god you've ever killed to prepare yourself for the true god you were meant to fight has bled a different color. They've always bled the color of their soul. And Suisian's soul was blue. Cerulean. A deep, painful ocean blue, the color of tears, the color of sorrow. And as that blood spurts and the blade flashes into the air, they turn their head and they let the blade stick into the riverbed. If they are in pain, they don't show it. They yank their arm away from you and they flourish their other knife and they create space between the two of you. They slash, and then back away. Good. Just like I taught you. Even better than I taught you.
Yes, even better than what you taught me.
I am proud of you, Litany. You have risen to be so much stronger than I ever could have been, than I ever was. Your maker forbade me from telling you about who I was. But let me tell you the story now. And they turn and they slash at you with a blade and you catch it. And as that metal against metal rings out across the battlefield, they say, I once served a king. When it comes down and they're like face to face with you now. A ruthless king, a mortal king. Yet I was even more ruthless. And you break away. And the blood keeps pouring from their left arm. They're going to lose like most of their blood at this point if they don't do anything about it, but they don't. They just look at you calmly and they continue to talk. And as they do, you continue to clash over and over as they speak. And they say, as his enforcer, I slaughtered thousands, without question. I was born into poverty. This was the only thing I was good at. This was the only way I could escape. Stop talking! Misery. But mortality was the ultimate misery. So I sought godhood. I cultivated. With my slaughter, with every drop of blood, every life I severed from limb, I cultivated. And when I finally ascended, I went to the city of heaven. And they turned me away. The heavenly liaison themselves told me that my deeds as immortal were too atrocious. I had slaughtered too many to be a good fit for the city. And so they sent me to the underworld. They sent me here. And that was when I finally realized that the path of blood and violence and fire I had taken was not worth it. That I had choices when I was alive, but I always chose the path of the blaze.
Stop talking!
I am nothing if not regret. I am nothing if not a broken heart. I tried to hide in the underworld. I kept my place as a lowly barkeep until the day your
Enough!
queen assigned me to be your mentor. That was the biggest mistake of my unlife. I destroyed you. I ruined you.
Enough! I am strong. I am stronger than you have ever been. I understand what the tenets mean, even if you don't, even if you shy away from them. You don't know me. You didn't make me. She made me. The first fallen, the Lord of Death.
Yes. Yes, she made you. But I trained you. I know what you are capable of. You are capable of so much more than just violence. If you let yourself become.
I am becoming. This is my becoming. I walked through God after God, demon after demon, who would not look me in the eyes because of my failure. I will not fail again. You will not make me fail again. I will save her. I will do as I have meant to do for 100 years and 100 more. You can't stop me. Just get out of the way.
And Suesian's eyes flutter for a half second as you speak. They waver. Perhaps it's the loss of blood. Perhaps it's your insistence on continuing. Perhaps it's both. Perhaps it's something else. They stabilize themselves, and when they open their eyes, they are as steely and precise and as focused and determined as you have ever seen them. And they say, I cannot step aside. I am sorry, Litany, but I cannot let you pass. I made the wrong choices when I was on the cradle. I will finally make the right one now. And they lunge forward. And on that perfect lunge, perfect form, no openings aside from the opening of their heart, the opening of that weak heart that they're showing you now. It's a weakness, isn't it, Litany? Is it, Litany? What is that? And you see it. For the first time, you see your former mentor's downfall. It cracks open, as bright as a star. A star which you've never seen before. There is no sky here in the underworld, but still, a star. Guilt.
I'm gonna do something right now.
Oh boy, okay.
Litany sees the guilt.
Uh-huh.
And they feel it harmonize against their shame. The two voices rise into fever pitch, into a scream drowned out by blood. Still knee-deep in the water that made them, in the blood that made them. Litany lunges, not out of the way, not to parry, not to block, not to punch. They lunge for the blade in the ground. And I would like to wield a power, not my own, theirs, Suesian's. Because yes, they might have trained me, but I learned everything from them. And I know that their power is swordsmanship.
You do know that, yes.
And I will use it against them. They will run themselves through on my blade. On their blade.
Okay, you know their downfall. You're confronting them in their true form. All of the prerequisites have been met. So I need to ask you right now, would you like to kill or spare Suesian?
There is no option. Litany was not made to spare gods. Litany was made to kill them. And I don't even think they know how. It's not a question of want. It's a question of capacity, ability. Suesian is not the first god to fall at their hand. And I would like to kill them. I will kill them.
Okay, that's a crucible move, Litany. So, when you confront a god in their true form and exploit their downfall to kill them, describe how you slay them and roll 2d6.
As Suesian comes at them, Litany takes that blade, one of the twin blades of sorrow, and holds the pommel against their chest, against their heart, where their heart should be, their soul, that empty cavern inside of them. And they just let their mentor run into it. They let Suesian impale themselves on their own grief, on their own guilt, on the shame they both share.
You move faster than the eye can perceive. They're coming at you. You grab, they're there, right on top of you. Breathing heavy, their own blade pointed not at any vital organ, but the dull side of it is drawn against your neck. Roll 2d6 for me, please. No modifiers, just like suffering your 5th strain. This is completely up to fate.
4.
That's a miss. Okay. You still kill them, but on a miss, they bestow a curse upon you with their dying breath. These are their last words to you. They speak this to you. litany. As the edges of their body start to dissipate into mist and roll down the current of the crimson river like fog off the surface of a god's breath, and Sui Xin says to you, "Thou shalt not know peace from the blood thou hast spilt today, no matter how much I wish it upon you, child." And their hand almost touches your face, almost, and then it dissipates into mist as well, and their eyes are the last thing to go. And they are gone. So typically in GodKiller, no matter the outcome of your role to kill a god, you seize a semblance of their power. But because you are a vessel made by Queen Tsigu, that power goes to her instead. You do not gain the power of swordsmanship. This was for naught. This was not to make yourself stronger. It has only ever been to empower your maker. And now there is nothing remaining of Sui Xin but 2 blades stained with blood.
Fuck! And Litany throws the blade down, fast.
It joins its brother, clatters into the river.
They can't look at them. They can't look at the blades. They can't. They did it. The path is made. But those words keep echoing around the inside of their brain. I didn't want you to do it. Why? Why? This is not the first time Litany has killed a god. Countless. At this point, they've killed so many. Training, again and again. Find the downfall, find the heart, pierce it, pull it out. Why does this feel different? Why does it feel... No, it's not wrong. It couldn't be wrong. They had to. There was no other choice. This is their destiny. This is the path to redemption. Sui Xin was wrong. Sui Xin put them in this position. Litany should hate them. Litany does hate them. Right?
Hey. And Tiansheng is there. You don't know how, you don't know when, but she's there in front of you. And there's something on her face between shock, disbelief, horror, and something else. Something you have never, ever seen on someone else's face before, pointed at you. It's soft, and how does it make you feel?
Wrong. Empathy is not an emotion that Litany has ever known.
Hey, right. I don't know how you did that, because as cultivators, even we can't draw blood, much less kill. And they seem to be your... You know what? Not my place, not the time. We should go. Yaolan is waiting.
Yes. 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 The seal.
Yes. She reaches into the sash and pulls out her river seal. happens. And then you feel it. The magic of the river. Strings of power emanate outward from the river seal, lighting up bright, bright, bright white, like mist, like lucent fog, and the pillars of bone vibrate, and in the center, a huge miasma of mist explodes into being, obscuring the other side of the river. You don't see it anymore. All that stretches from pillar to pillar, stream to tile, is mist. Swirling and swirling, bursting into existence from that nexus point of the river shard, the river seal. Okay, take my hand? Come on, I can't really hold this open for too long. It takes a lot of focus and energy.
In a split second, Litany chooses not to look back at the only home they've ever known. They do not turn their gaze back to the palace. They do not look upon the obsidian fields. They do not even look down for a single second into the river of blood that birthed them. They reach out with fingers stained blue and take her hand.
Cold fingers it is. All right, mortal realm, here it comes. A massive pillar of light washes over the both of you as you step forward through the gate. And everything turns to mist. And when the mist finally clears, you're in a place you have never been before. You, my dear GodKiller, are in the cradle.
Thank you so much for tuning in to GodKiller Last Hope. If you've been enjoying this series, welcome to GodKiller Last Hope. My name is Williams, and as the dramaturg for this production, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the viciously divine world of the Cradle. Last Hope is a dark fantasy series that deals with heavy topics, and content warnings will be shared before the show begins. Last Hope is performed live and in studio by Connie Chong and C. Thomas. Previously on GodKiller Last Hope, Litany and Tim Show attempt to escape the underworld. After a fraught encounter with a group of demons, Litany comes face to face with their former mentor, Shueishin. The two of them battle for access of the Ascension Gate. Truths, shame, and guilt are revealed at full. With their mentor's own blood, Litany slays Shueishin, but they suffer a curse from the demon's dying breath. Litany ascends a with tension at their side. The full recap of this and previous episodes can be found at transplanterrpg.com. And now, the game begins.
GodKiller Last Hope is a dark fantasy actual play series that deals with serious and potentially triggering topics. Viewer discretion is advised. Content warnings for this episode include fantasy violence, blood, trauma, grief, interpersonal conflict, death, killing, war, storms, mentions of child abandonment, poverty, malnutrition, and brief sounds of slurping and spitting.
The first thing you notice about Ron is the color. So much color, a kaleidoscope of color, a rainbow of colors you've never seen before in your life. What is that? Up there. Blue. Blue like the blood spurting from your mentor's soul. Blue like cerulean, like water, the sky. A dome above your head, endless from horizon to horizon, dotted with ghosts? Mist? No. You know the term, you learned it a long time ago. Clouds. Fluffy white clouds moving lazily, gratuitously across the dome above your head, and then on the ground by your feet. Small, tender blades of bright green grass. You see trees, too, crooked pines, stately maples with trunks of a rich, deep brown, and you hear something strange you've never heard before, a chittering noise, a melodic noise. Birdsong. Birds roosting in the branches. You can hear them with your heightened senses, see them almost fluttering, and then a big murmuration of feathers above your head, a flock of birds, starlings taking off into the distant southern sky. And the leaves here on these trees, they're so strange. They're not made of glass. They don't cut. They're made of something so much more fragile, so much softer, so much more tender, so much more mortal. And then you see it, the sun, a bright white orb in the sky, so dazzling and radiant it hurts your eyes to look into. It burns you, and you blink reflexively, out of instinct, not because you want to, but because you have to, and you see bright black spots in front of your gaze from where the sun has pierced your vision. And you hear a deep breath from behind you as Tiansheng takes in a lungful of that strangely sweet, floral breeze that's tickling your face, tickling behind your ear, and she says, "Oh, it is so good to be home! Ah, midsummer. That's how midsummer should be, not cold and wet and dark and full of blood and red and dark." Did I mention dark?
What?
Have you ever been to the mortal realm?
No.
Well, welcome to the cradle. What do you think?
It's... And they touch their knuckles where there are still splashes of that blue blood dripping all the way down their hands. It's alive.
It is, isn't it? It's what I like about it so much. Hey, and those bright black eyes travel to where you're unconsciously rubbing your blood-spattered gauntlet, travel back up to you. Do you want to talk about what happened? Because I got the sense that...
No, nothing happened. We simply got through the gate, did what we needed to do for the mission.
Right.
For my mission. Where's the Ascension Gate?
The Ascension Gate, right. Well, let's take a look here. Dang it. Okay, right. Rats.
What?
Rats. Okay, so you see those mountains in the distance? They kind of look purple in the light. You see those striations in the rock that make them look kind of amethyst? Well, that's their namesake. That's the amethyst chain right over there, and that's where we want to go. That's where the Ascension Gate is. Yeah, definitely, totally. Mm-hmm.
It's going to take so long to get there. I don't have time for this.
Oh, it's not gonna take that long. 4 days, maybe?
4 days?
Of a walk? Yeah, because we don't have horses. Maybe 5 if we get caught in a summer rainstorm, you know? But they're kind of nice. Have you ever been caught in a underworld rainstorm before?
It doesn't rain in the underworld.
No? I thought it would rain like needles or fire. Or maybe like fire needles.
Oh, it does rain.
Are you serious?
Fire needles.
Wow, okay, well, I'm glad I got out before that happened. But anyway, we should probably get going then, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's now that Litany turns over their shoulder to look back where they came from, as though the gate would still be there, as though they might still be able to see back into the underworld, back into hell, back where they came from, back to their home that has never held them as a home should. And they look and see only grass, see only trees, mountains, flowers, birds, sky, and a strange longing familiarity pings against the inside of their soul. that they shake off. Walking. Walking now.
All right, let's set off. And Tiansheng hops up onto their feet, and you realize that you are on the top of a grassy knoll, this hill that kind of rolls down. And at the bottom, Tiansheng strays forward and says, as you can see down there, that's called a river, like an actual real river, you know, not a canal of blood and despair and misery and violence and pain, but, you know, full of water.
Water?
Yeah, water. You have water in the underworld, right? I don't need to drink water to survive, you know, cultivation powers and all that. But it's nice, and it's nice to take a bath. Hey, why don't we skinny dip? We've got a lot of time. Well, 4 days.
No time. We can't stop.
Okay, all right. If we're not going to stop at the river, maybe we can go to that hamlet over there. You know, it's just a little bit of a detour, and they have the best
No
xiaolongbao.
detours.
Okay, no detours then. How about we can walk and talk, and I'll give you a tour of the kingdom that you're in right now. Guess which of the 5 great earthly kingdoms you've currently landed yourself into. I'll give you a hint. It's my hope. You got 5 guesses.
No.
Nope.
I don't know.
Come on. Is it Tia? Do you want to guess Tia? Is it?
Is it Tia?
Nope, it is not. 3 more guesses.
Then why did you offer that as a suggestion?
Well, it's a game. Come on, you gotta give and take. Oh, you know what? I'll just do it for you. Process of elimination. You're a twin! Ding, ding, ding. Congratulations. Twin. The best kingdom out there. Well, kind of swimming upstream a little bit against our ruler, King Wu. He's kind of a... And you see her bite back something about the ruler, something about King Wu that's interesting. She seems to assess your comfort level here and says, he's a traditionalist, let's say. You know, the other kingdoms are really good at adapting to the changes. You know, ever since the shattering broke the world apart, the gods haven't been able to hear us directly. They have to hear us through tides of xiaolongbao. Are you sure we can't go? 100%?
No.
Okay, tides of fish from the Silver River.
No.
All right, tides of this flower right here. They probably wouldn't like that too much, but you never know. God's whims are constantly changing, and so we must adapt to those changes. But King Wu does not adapt. No siree, he does not adapt. That's the one thing he's real bad at. You know, we've actually been tithing to the same patron god for the past 11 years, while every other kingdom, every other ruler has varied the kinds of tithes, the kinds of gods they give to. Because change is natural. Change is what keeps us alive. Change is what keeps things interesting. Change is what I live for. That and helping people, I guess.
Just helping people.
Not just helping people, it's seeing the smiles on their faces as well. And that's me. And that's Swin. And you have reached the bottom of the hill at this point and are walking parallel to the river.
I see. And Litany walks, carrying the knowledge of Swin somewhere deep and far behind them. Still in their mind, still alongside of them, but not in the forefront. The only thing in the forefront is a flash of Suisin's face, and then the flower again. And then beyond it, we're walking toward the mountains.
Yes, we're walking toward the amethyst chain. You know, that's actually where I grew up. Yeah. I was abandoned as a baby, presumably left to die. I think. But, you know, happy ending. I was raised by a bunch of monkeys.
That's a happy ending.
Yeah, I mean, they were great, you know. I didn't have to wear clothes until, well, I guess I learned what shape was, you know, ran into my first human, but it wasn't so bad, you know. The first mortals I ran into, actually, were from this little place called Dan Village. It's gone now. But, you know, we've been rebuilding. I was their protector for a really long time. I still am, I suppose. But I've always felt more comfortable in the wild and around people. You know, monkeys, they just get me. You know what I mean? Do you have an animal that just gets you?
Litany has never chosen a favorite animal, a favorite color, a favorite food, a favorite pastime. those frivolous activities are not something that they've ever had access to, even. Their favorite thing to do is kill. Their favorite thing to do is kill gods. Their favorite thing to say is, yes, mother, I will. But thinking about it, the question presents itself, and the walking won't go by any faster if they're silent. So the answer just comes out of them, almost cracked open by that stain of blue on their knuckles that they're still absently rubbing against. The Daosho.
Daosho. I've heard of those before. Man-faced tigers, yeah? Fearsome beasts. They eat the flesh of mortals to survive. That's your favorite animal?
Yes.
You know what? Respect. They're pretty cool. I've wrestled a few in my life.
Where is the Ascension Gate?
It's in the Amethyst Chain, yeah, where I'm taking you, like I said. And there's something a little different in her demeanor when she says, "Yeah, it's in the Amethyst Chain. Would you like to feel someone or something out?"
I certainly would, Connie.
Okay. So when you try to feel out a person, place, or thing, say what you want clarity about and answer one of the following two questions. The GM will give you the clarity you seek as I answer the other. So the two questions we can choose from are, what feels welcoming on the surface, and what feels dark or unnerving when I peer deeper?
Litany is always thinking about that other side, the shadow of everything. Everything that is beautiful here has a mirror version in the underworld. This river that they're walking beside, that is babbling and shining and silver and bright, is made of blood, and it's where they came from, of course, and there is, of course, the broken river, of course. So what feels dark and unnerving underneath is that there must be trouble here, somewhere. It's beautiful, yes, but there still must be something wrong. The sister bones are shattered. So
Is that what you want clarity about? What way is this place shattered? Is that okay? Okay, cool. All right,
I'll take that, yeah.
excellent. So I'll give you the clarity you seek as I answer the other, which is what feels welcoming on the surface. As you speak with Tiansheng, you notice that the river kind of goes around a bend, and the two of you happen upon a hamlet. And you see people in this hamlet, children, elders, adults as well. It's not a super densely populated town, so maybe only 50 villagers total. But in front of the hamlet and around it, amidst the cluster of chickens, which only have one head, and it's strange with a chicken, they only have that, you see gravestones, markers, ancestral markers, and there are way more graves than there are people. That is what clicks with you about what feels unnerving or dark. There's a lot of suffering here. There's a lot of death. And the people you see don't look very well fed. They look impoverished. No one here, this is nothing compared to those grand pleasure palaces and luxury dens in the underworld. And you've seen illustrated wood carvings of kingly mortal palaces as well. This is a pittance compared to that. This is nothing. That is what's dark or unnerving. But here's what feels welcoming on the surface. As soon as you and Tiansheng start to approach this village, everyone by the boundary of it look up at the sound of your approach, and big smiles break over their faces. And you see a bunch of people start bustling indoors and coming out again, and they're holding a bunch of gifts of what little they have in their hands. A big owl, cotton blankets, which are a poor farmer's most prized possession, what poultry eggs they can scavenge from their chickens. They're coming forward and they're approaching Tiansheng, who's still at the mouth of the road before you enter the village. Oh, hey there, listen, I can't. And then you hear their titles that they're lavishing upon Tiansheng. Great sage, please accept this token of our appreciation. Thank you for saving us from those wild demon boars all those months ago. And they're just trying to force her to take these gifts, but she's refusing. Oh no, please, I just did what I had to do, and please accept your eggs. I cannot take your eggs. That's an entire chicken. I can't take that either. How are you taking this?
Litany stands a few feet away from the entrance to this little hamlet, watching, always watching. They're good at that. They've always been good at that. They've always been able to see through others' eyes. Even Suesian told them that a long time ago, that was a gift that they had. They were able to see sometimes. And they see all of this happening, all of these gifts being lavished on this person, this strange cultivator, this second chance, this last hope. And they watch from the shadows, and after a few seconds, their patience runs thin. The flakes of blue blood start to fall off of their knuckle, and Litany barks out, "Let's move."
One second. I need to make sure I don't take what little they already have. And they're trying to stuff them in my pockets. So please, and I cannot accept your daughter's hand in marriage. I'm so sorry, but I'm really busy right now, and I'm very flattered, but she can find someone better than me. I didn't mean, it's not the gate was right, yes, of course. My apologies, villagers of New Spring Village, but I must be on my way. I thank you for your generosity, and I thank you for your gratitude. Thank you for thanking me. You know, I don't do this for thanks, really, I don't. But if you ever are in trouble again, just give me a holler. I've got really good hearing. I can hear it, even from the mountains. So, all right. And she turns back to you, nods, and continues walking down this path out of the village. And all the villagers follow you, all 50 of them. You even see like an old grandfather being helped to his feet by his children, and he's leaning on a cane and trying to follow you to the edge of the village to say goodbye.
You seem far more like a king than your King Wu does.
Oh, please. I mean, I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm not fit to rule. I don't want to rule. I just want to go around Swin and help people. That's it.
That's your destiny.
That's my purpose that I've chosen for myself. You know, I've got feelings about fate. You know, fate is what abandoned me as a baby, you know, in the mountain. But those monkeys chose to take me in, and I chose to stay with them, and I chose to help the people of Mudan Village and help the people here.
Why?
Well, and you're fully out of the village now, right? You continue down this dirt path with that river parallel to you, and the silver tops of that river, it glistens, it sparkles even from the sunlight filtering in through the branches of willow trees, bending over the river. And you see like a little boat with a fisherman on it who pauses with this long stick in the canal and like waves a hand at Kim Jong, who waves back as she talks. Yeah. That's a good question. You know, I used to think I just wanted to help people because it made me feel good. You know, I got to pat myself on the old back there a little bit, but I don't know, I guess it's just my calling. So, that's my purpose. What's your purpose?
My purpose. And it feels so good to be asked that. Their purpose had been lost to them, just out of reach for so long, and it feels good in this moment to step into it all the way. I am Litany, the GodKiller, and my purpose is to kill Emperor Longdu, devourer of the devouring, grand adjudicator of the game, sovereign on high of Yaolong, the Amethyst Dragon.
Wow. Did you say GodKiller? Right. It's just that the only other person in the history of the Sister Realms who's ever called themselves the GodKiller was Emperor Longdu. You know, when she was still mortal, as Lucia Fong killed her sister, the terrible, dread Queen the terribly powerful Queen Seek.
That's how the story goes. That's how my story goes. I will return, and I will kill the god that is meant to kill.
That's why you want to go to the city of heaven. That's why you need me.
Yes. You'll take me to the Ascension Gate.
A deal's a deal. I would never break a promise. I would never go back on my word. But Litany, it's just killing the Emperor. It would.
Killing the Emperor is my purpose. It always has been.
But it would ruin this place. It would destroy these lands, these people. Remember at the Hamlet, those people? They would be devastated.
They already look devastated.
You're serious. You're actually serious. Wow. Right. Well, if you... You know what? Never mind. And there's something in her face that's so close to that soft empathy you saw from her earlier back in the underworld. So close to that broken open, not weakness, but a kind of boredom on her expression after you killed Suecian. And you see it here again on her face, an emotion you can't place, an emotion you've never been shown. Right. Okay, let's keep walking.
Yes. Let's walk.
And you walk. You walk until nightfall. And Tiansheng convinces you to make camp, talking about how she'd spent 3 weeks not sleeping in the underworld, how it's best to stay sharp, and she just refuses to keep moving, insists that she's your guide, you need her. She lays down onto the ground, puts together some sticks, lights a fire, goes to bed. And the night passes in a way that you've never experienced before, because you've never experienced the turning of night to day, day to night. And you see above your head as night falls, a familiar darkness blanketing the horizon, but it's not a crimson hazy light that illuminates the tops of trees. Perforations in the sky. Stars. Star. And you think of that broken open wound in Suecian's armor as a star, the guilt. And there are infinite stars in the night sky, infinite memories of Suecian, infinite replays of their final words ringing in your head. Thou shalt not know peace.
Litany doesn't sleep. It almost comes. Everything about this place is so heavy. It's so hot here. It's warm like they've never experienced. But that peace never reaches them. Every time they feel their mentor's body thud against their hand, holding onto that sword, and they jolt back awake. And so they just go back to laying on the ground, looking at those perforations, those stars, reciting to themselves their 3 tenets. Show no mercy, know no pain, kill or be killed. They did what was right. Right?
I guess we'll have to find out. And you watch as the darkness brightens, gains an underglow, a strange radiance to its temerity. And you watch as midnight turns to dawn, and you see the rosy fingers of the sun peek over the horizon until that brilliant ball of light rises up, and casts the entire horizon in a brilliant, bright red, and then orange, and then yellow, and then blue light. The blue sky returns bright morning light, dulled only by the passage of clouds over its face. And it's hot. It gets hot again. It was hot at night. It's even hotter during the day. Definitely not like the underworld.
Can't believe this happens every time.
And Tiansheng wakes up, seems to have very much rejuvenated herself, seems even more exuberant, if that's possible. In the morning, she kind of springs up to her feet, stretches out her tail, stretches out her arms, cracks her neck. That was nice, much needed rest. Thanks for keeping guard. Kinda a little worried that you might have slept in the middle of the night there, but that wouldn't have made sense, you know, because we need to get you to the embassy. That was a joke. I didn't actually think you would cut my throat.
You should be ready.
Yeah?
Always.
Did the thought cross your mind?
I was busy thinking of more important things.
Oh yeah? Like what?
Getting to the Ascension Gate.
Right, of course. You've got such a one-track mind. I think that's a great boon, but also sometimes you gotta stop and smell the flowers. And she plucks out that flower that she'd given you the previous day. What have you done with it?
Put it on the ground.
I put it on the ground and kept walking. Yeah, but now she does a kind of magician's trick and shows the flower again. What color are the petals?
Red.
Red, bright red, a beautiful red flower. Smell the flowers, right? Get it? Stop and smell the flowers, and I do the flower. I noticed you dropped it, but I figured you might like it.
Why?
I don't know. It's just so dark and cold and not pungent exactly, but very bloody. You know, a lot of blood smell everywhere down there in the world. That's a nice change of pace. But also it's red, so it might remind you of the blood, you know? Like keepsake from home.
They don't drop it this time, they just hold it.
Great! On the road. Do you just hold the flower the entire time you walk? I love that. It's just between your fingers as you're walking. And
It keeps them from rubbing the blood.
yeah, that's a super normal thing to say and what to do. Excellent. You walk with Tiansheng for the entirety of day 2. And you notice that you're starting to trek up a gradual incline to the extent that you leave the Silver River behind, and you start to see more montane trees peeking up with longer branches and denser leaves, and they kind of stutter past your vision, kind of block out the sun, the canopy blocks out the sky a little bit, and then you reach into a clearing kind of at the top of a hill, maybe 5, 6, 7 hours into your morning trek, and at the top of this hill, at the bottom of the valley, you see a contingent of soldiers. They have to be at least 500 strong, just kind of marching parallel to the river with horses, armed to the teeth, even wagons full of supplies and grain. You just see them marching. And as soon as you see those soldiers, Tiansheng holds out a hand actually in front of you. We should probably wait till we're done walking, you know, because they're gonna have to intersect where we go.
What is that?
Oh, that's just one of King Wu's many marching armies. And I would like to just not get in their way, you know, let them do their thing.
Where are they going?
Well, they're not actually going anywhere. They're looking for something. Some groups of ones. A group of people. They're looking for a group of people. And Tiansheng makes a kind of high-pitched noise in the back of her mouth that she's never made in front of you before. Well, and then you hear a hail coming from the other side of the hill as you see a group of travelers cresting it, and their leader has a big walking stick in their left hand, a pack on their back, and a kind of furred skirt covering their trousers. It seems like where they came from, they must have been traveling a long way, because where they came from seems to have been a rather cold climb. They give a big, happy, friendly wave toward you. Hail! We'll talk about this later, okay? And as they start to approach you, your two groups start to pass each other. This person with the walking stick pauses, looks at Tiansheng, and seems to recognize her face. If not directly as a person, they don't seem personally familiar. At least it seems like maybe she's heard of Tiansheng's description. And says, as she slows down carefully toward Tiansheng, "What news on the winds?" And that makes Tiansheng just stop. Wholesale stop. Would you like to feel something with someone out?
Yes, I would like to feel
Okay. What do you want clarity about?
what the hell is happening right now?
Okay. You don't have to roll for this actually because it's a
Alright.
mortal move. So, what feels welcoming on the surface, or what feels dark or unnerving when I peer deeper? Which one would you like to answer?
I would like to answer the first, what
Okay.
feels welcoming on the surface, which is Tiansheng as a person is unlike anyone Litany has ever met before, and is honestly kind of a bad liar.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And that conversation they had the previous day about purpose, that's something that rings in Litany's soul. Her purpose is helping people in a way that I think is an undeniable truth. And so that feels right. Whatever this is part of that purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you the clarity you seek about the dynamics of this interaction here, and I'll also answer what feels dark or unnerving when you peer deeper. Tiansheng pauses, turns, and regards this person in a new way, and says, "I've been absent from the wind's call these past 3 weeks, but I hope to know more very soon." And this person inclines their head with a knowing look, even though what they're saying is absolute fucking nonsense to you, and says, "Ah, very well then. Hope is ringing from every peak." Indeed, hope is ringing from every peak. You be on your way. And you. And this group passes, going the way you came. And the dark thing is, they're definitely talking in code. Like 100% this is some sort of special cant or code. And whatever they're actually talking about must be extremely dangerous, especially for a cultivator of Tiansheng's strength, a mortal who survived multiple direct full power punches from you to the gut, for her to be hiding. So whatever this is, whatever thing she's caught in, is dangerous.
Litany looks at the army down in the valley below and looks at Tiansheng's back as she's walking in front of them.
We got a lot of ground to cover.
And we best beat that army.
Yeah. Wait, beat?
And Litany starts taking off, I think, in a run.
Whoa, okay. And Tiansheng quickly, easily catches up with you and keeps stride. And I'm not even gonna make you roll for it or anything like that. I think two people moving quickly, given your physical aptitude, are able to beat this rather slowly marching army to the crossing and make it across the river before they kind of would intersect with your path. And continue walking. And sure enough, that night, Tiansheng once again insists on making camp. She does the whole ritual of gathering up the sticks.
Every time.
Yes, every time. It's good for your body, heart, and soul. I just couldn't fall asleep in the underworld. Too many wailing, screaming ghosts and the smell of blood and all that. But here's great. All you can hear are crickets. And you hear the crickets. And the occasional rustling of the leaves. And you hear the occasional rustling of the leaves. And perhaps a barren heat. What? Oh, never mind. I guess it's not quite that season yet. All right, come on, help me pick up some sticks.
And Litany tentatively reaches down and picks up a stick.
Just a single stick. Together, you and Tiansheng build a fire. And she has this, not a matchbox, but she just kind of picks up a rock and another rock, and that's how she, just not even flinch, just two rocks, and she's smashing them together so hard that it just produces a spark, and then a flame leaps up, just like it did last night. Wicks up, almost like a ghost trying to escape its mortal form. You watch the shadows dance across the leaf-strewn floor, and you watch the darkness gradually lift up into light. And now we enter the fourth day. And unfortunately, on the fourth day, that is when you and Tiansheng find yourselves caught in the midst of a summer downpour. You are less than a day away from the Amethyst Chain. The mountains are huge on the horizon in front of you, and the rain is even bigger. You can't see more than 5 feet in front of you from just how sudden this torrent is. Pattering down through the trees, making the soil around your feet muddy up and kind of suck against your shoes. Okay, you know what? I think we're gonna need to find some shelter here? This is just a lot, and boom! A huge peal of thunder and a crack of lightning very close to where you are. Have you ever experienced that before?
Loud noises? Yes. Thunder and rain? No.
Yes, so the rain was even one thing. It's suddenly very wet, and the thunder sounded like a war drum or the growling of a monster, and then a flash of bright, brilliant, divine-seeming light. And upon seeing your shock, she explains very quickly, "Oh, that's just some thunder and lightning. It can't hurt us unless it's very close." And then another peal of thunder, another flash of lightning, and you hear somewhere very close to you a tree fall. Close. Okay, you know what? Let's try to, rush, and we're gonna have to take a break, I think. Yes, okay. There, I think I see an old temple. Come on, follow me. And she leads you through the muddy mountain forest to, sure enough, an old temple built on a slope. The slope is so intense that the temple itself is on stilts, made of wood. And there's kind of like a little porch on the outside. You can hear the pattering of rain on the wooden slats, and Tianzhong hops up onto the porch, turns as if to offer you a hand.
Litany already has 2 arms up and is pulling himself up into the temple.
Excellent. The two of you surface into this temple, and you see a small, humble, but well-kept abode, despite how old it is, despite how the wood seems to be peeling almost, and shining and glowing in the rain. And now, you're finally out of the town. Better than a winter rain, I'll tell you that. It's got that humid smell.
This world is so alive.
I know, isn't it awesome? It's brilliant, isn't it? Alright, let's see what this is a temple to. She kind of squints through her rain-blurry eyes, and you make out wooden ribs holding up a steepled roof and wooden pillars. Compared to the Hall of Stolen Chants, this is nothing. This is a tiny little shrine, barely large enough to hold the two of you. And at the back of it, there's an altar and a statue upon that altar of the god that this temple is dedicated to. You see a carving of a deity with short, wavy hair painted a kind of dark green. And they're wearing robes of a similar dark green, as well as eyes. That's what really stands out. The eyes of this god. They've been daubed with loving perfection by mortal hands. A scintillating, bright orange. It almost makes the statue look alive. And at its feet, you see a depiction of a goose. Not a two-headed goose, which is odd to you. All geese have 2 heads in the underworld. A single-headed goose. And there are some small offerings left on this shrine, mostly clementines and oranges.
Can I recognize a god?
You absolutely can! So when you want to recognize the signs or influence of a god of the cradle, roll 2d6 and add 1 for each true statement. You're in or near their domain. You are, actually. You're familiar with the gospel.
No.
I don't think you are now. It'd be bad if you didn't know. No. No, it wouldn't be. That's a +1. 5 to a 6, that's a miss. Okay, on a miss, the GM will tell you only the most common legends about them. Nothing more. You look at this god, and something about the silhouette and the goose, that's what really sells it. It pings a history lesson in your mind. Even though you were brought up in the underworld, you know enough about the city of heaven. You had to study it. It was to be your final meeting place, your site of victory. So you know all the major players of the city. This god is one of them. There is, of course, Emperor Longdu, and then there is her right hand, which she calls her virtue. Qin Xiaocheng, the courtier of 4 symbols. This is Xiaocheng. The most common legends about Xiaocheng? They are a judicious, congenial, friendly god. As the Emperor's virtue, along with the Emperor's 4 symbols, which are the 4 most powerful gods in heaven, they are not allowed to accept tithes in return for favors from mortals, because as a bearer of a heavenly river seal, their intervention would be much too powerful. They're like too strong of a god, basically. It would tip the scales way too much. It'd be too close to what it was like during the devouring.
Whitney takes in this statue, the recognition almost back behind their brain before it surges forward. Yes, they do know that god. And a small pang of viciousness cracks against their knuckles as they see. And then the word virtue, the Emperor's virtue, sits with them. And for a moment, there's a small part of them that entertains the Queen's virtue, the GodKiller. Before I think they turn their back on the statue to face the rain outside. A god of its own, really.
You hear it singing against the wooden slats of the roof. You hear it pattering, sounding so much like blood, especially with its summer warmth. Blood. Flash of swings, and you're back here again. And then you see Tiansheng do something very strange, something she's never done before in front of you. She approaches the altar with a expression of familiarity as she sees what God is both dedicated to. She takes down her staff, lays it to the side, and kneels in front of the shrine. She inclines her head, and she starts murmuring a prayer. Would you like to listen in?
They try not to, but they can't help it. They hear everything. They see everything. And I think Whitney tries to turn away, to look out, and picks their knees up close to their chest, and just watches as the words come to them unbidden.
And Tiansheng says, in front of the shrine, holding a sigil close to her heart. O courtier of four symbols, O Emperor's virtue, thank you for protecting New York Village. Thank you for your mandate of heaven. Thank you for being the winds of change. Thank you for protecting Louis. Please continue to guide us and lend us your strength. Your secret is safe with us. May hope ring from every peak. And then, Tiansheng returns. Back to where you are, sitting at the entrance. She rises and kneels next to you. Ooh! What a downpour, huh?
Whitney holds the question in their mouth like it's a fish with many bones, stuck in between their throat and their mouth and their tongue and their curiosity that they have been trying to quash down because they need to focus. Yes. Yes, there is the ring. And the god.
Oh, yeah. It's a temple to the courtier of four symbols. They're a very popular god. Makes sense.
You worship them.
Yeah, I do. I worship Tianli, of course, the patron god of Twin, but I don't think it hurts anyone to worship the virtue of the emperor.
You said your king disallowed it.
He does. It is technically, legally, literally, physically, in every way, shape, and form forbidden. But, you know, do you see King Wu here?
No. I don't see anyone here.
Hey, you know what? I know what it feels like to lose someone. Lose something you care about. And feel like it's your fault.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying. And if you ever want to talk about anything, I'm not thinking of anything specific in particular, but just anything. I'm a pretty good listener when I'm not blabbing my big mouth off.
You talk more than you listen.
Well, you're not very talkative,
I know it takes two people to keep up a conversation. You could work on your discussion skills.
My discussion skills are fine.
Oh yeah? Well, then prove me wrong. GodKiller.
What do I say?
Anything. You can ask me a question about myself, or you can share something about yourself. You can remark on the weather, or an aspect of this temple.
It's raining.
That it is. It's coming down hard, huh? But it'll be good for the plants.
What is New Mudong Village?
It's where we're headed.
The Ascension Gate.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
You said that was where you were from.
Yeah, I was from Mudan Village. They took me in, I was their protector, but there was a fire, and I wasn't there, and there were soldiers, and
You failed. But when Litany says it, it's not with judgment. It's with recognition, like recognizing like. Something harmonizing.
yeah. I failed. So, I know what it feels like to lose someone, something, and have it all be your fault.
Then I suppose Tiancheng. That perhaps we're not so different.
Use my name. You didn't just call me Cultivator.
Enough, cultivator.
Dang it.
I'm sorry you lost your purpose. But you are finding it now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I fell down at... You know what? That's a super long story. I'll tell you all about it when we get to New Mudan Village.
And the Ascension Gate.
And for a slight paroxysm of time, guilt flashes across Tiansheng's face when you ask about the Ascension Gate. Up until then, it had just been kind of dodginess, but now it's genuine, actual guilt. Yeah. And when we get to the Ascension Gate.
How long will it rain for?
Oh, gods above and demons below. I would say, at this rate, yep, that's long rain. We're here for the long haul. It's gonna be here all night. I can't believe you copied me.
I didn't copy you.
No, you did. Well, not copy, like you're a copycat, but I liked it.
Why are you...
Yeah, you want to cup your hand a little, let it flow. Yeah, and see, you want to go a little bit further out, because if you just do right outside it, you get from the gutters, and that tastes pretty bad, but you want the fresh flow. Yeah, like that, that's right. And then pull it back in. Now give it a sip. Kind of warm, right?
Everything was warm.
Yeah, I mean, in summer, you just see this place when it's hot, and everything just lights up orange, and when it's winter, oh, just a blanket of snow. It's the craziest, most amazing thing. These mountains are even more beautiful when it's 10th month, 11th, the 12th.
You love this place.
Of course I do, it's my home. You love your home too, right?
Of course. And the lie chokes them.
Do you let it show on your face, or does it just kind of happen?
Similar to Tiancheng, Litany is not the liar.
Okay.
It croaks out of them. Of course it does. The same way they said it doesn't matter about their mentor. The same way that they said of course. It's where I belong.
Right. Like how I belong to your Ascension Gate and to New Mudan Village. Try to get some shut-eye this time. I know you've been keeping watch and staying up, and you think that stopping and making camp is frivolous and useless and unnecessary, but give it a shot. You might be surprised by how much more energy you have the next morning.
You talk a lot. Tension.
Into the side of this forested mountain. New Mudan Village.
Thank you so much for tuning in to GodKiller Last Hope. If you've been enjoying this series, please consider joining Transplanter's Patreon. Welcome to GodKiller Last Hope. My name is Zeb Williams, and as the dramaturg for this production, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the viciously divine world of the Cradle. Last Hope is a dark fantasy series that deals with heavy topics. Content warnings will be shared before the show begins. Last Hope is performed live and in studio by Connie Chong and C. Thomas. Previously on GodKiller Last Hope, Whitney and Tian Sheng arrive in the mortal realm of Yalan. They land in Chun, one of the 5 great earthly kingdoms, currently suffering at the hands of their traditionalist ruler, King Wu. For the first time in their life, Litany travels under the sun, the moon, the stars, and they learn about Yalan from Tian Sheng, and they form their very first mortal bond. The full recap of this and previous episodes can be found at transplanterrpg.com. And now, the game begins.
GodKiller Last Hope is a dark fantasy actual play series that deals with serious and potentially triggering topics. Viewer discretion is advised. Content warnings for this episode include fantasy violence, blood, trauma, grief, interpersonal conflict, war, fire, displacement, references to eye gore and decapitation, and mentions of death, killing, falling, poverty, malnutrition, explosions, landslides, tapophobia, emotional negligence by a parent, and brief sounds of spitting.
Litany. New Mudan Village opens up in front of you as you and Tiansheng crest a hill. And the trees part and fade to give way to a bustling mountain stronghold built on stilts. You see humble little homes perched on the edges of this cliff face, carved into harmony with the nature around it. You hear birdsong and you see the swooping wings of pigeons and doves and other kinds of birds whose names you haven't learned yet, names Tiansheng hasn't had the opportunity to teach you at this juncture. You see a large, old, worn wooden gate planted into the soil, almost like the trunks of a hardy tree, with an archway over the top with wooden slats and calligraphy reading New Mudan Village. And you also see the people climbing down ladders, the people practicing sword forms in dusty training arenas just beyond the fence post. And you also see people loading munitions and supplies onto the backs of small wagons and trying to shrug on backpacks, almost as though they're preparing for some sort of voyage or travel. And there's a sense of excitement in New Mudan Village, a sense of determination and eagerness, like everyone's getting ready for something that's about to happen, something that's about to come. And there's a moment where Tiansheng pauses on the road right before you cross the gate and takes in her home, these people that have welcomed her into their fold. New Mudan Village, home.
Instead of looking at the village as they are coming up, I think Whitney is looking at Tiansheng, watching her face as she sees home for the first time, taking in every expression, every moment, every little emotion that flits across her face. They're catching all of it. They're watching all of it. They're looking at her. They see the pigeons. They see the sword forms. They see the horses. They see the munitions. They see the war that has touched even this place, strangely enough, all the way up, nestled in these mountains. And they see the solidness on her face coming to this place. The determination, the purpose, like recognizing life.
And what emotion is ringing through you as you see an expression of joy, happiness, a kind of ardent passion and love? Breaking open on Tiansheng's face as she regards her home in the heartbeats before she crests through the threshold.
Envy. There's a small beat of it, emotion that I don't think that we can actually recognize, but when it flares inside of them, it rings solid and true. They want their face to make that expression. They want to look at the underworld gate when they go home after they've killed Longview. They want to look at they don't want to fall through the world, down, all the way back into the underworld, into the river of blood. They want to walk with their head held high, as she does, back into the place they belong. Right.
Right. Maybe. Tiansheng crosses the threshold and enters Mudan Village. And that staff is on her back, her arms are waving, she's gesticulating and saying hello, greeting these villagers, most of whom are so busy they don't notice her at first. They're so busy packing up backpacks, preparing for a voyage, as far as you can tell, for travel. And then she starts to get swarmed by a bunch of people, and you hear her, not the exact words, but the overall intonation of her voice as she's asking, what's going on? What's happening? Hey, how are you doing? What's all this? You get the sense that she's not really sure what the villagers of this place are up to. So you take a beat right outside the gate and tell me how you start to crest the threshold.
Like walking into dawn for the first time, with that same hesitation of the violence of the sun as it rises on the horizon, but an inevitability of it. They have to go. They have to follow her. And so they step through the threshold.
Yeah, this is just part of your fate, part of your destiny, part of the path that has been thrusted upon you and that you have chosen to take. And for no reason whatsoever, Litany, do you have any ill intentions toward the people of New Mudan Village?
That is such an interesting question to ask, Connie. Can I?
No, you cannot ask for context or clarity. Just simply yes or no. Simply yes or no answer.
Let's roll for it.
What do you mean roll for it? What does a 6 mean? We have to establish parameters before we roll dice.
Litany wishes no ill will upon anyone here. These are mortals.
Uh-huh.
They kill gods.
That's true. That is very true to your character. I'm now really curious what would happen if you rolled a 1.
Then the ill will would have bled from them.
Then we roll initiative. There's no initiative in this game. So, okay. As you cross the threshold, you feel something waver not against your skin, not against your blood, your nervous system, your bones, but against your very soul itself. A kind of magic, a protection spell. And there's no other way to describe the tenor of this magic aside from the fact that it is orange. That's all it is, orange. And you flash to the temple, that old wooden shrine, the sound of rain pattering warmly against wooden slats, steeping above your head like hands clasped in prayer. Drinking rain, the flash of orange from the eyes of that carved wooden god. Orange, they're back in your body.
Can I pray for guidance?
Yes, this is the first time we're using this move, so I'm so excited. This is a mortal move, a brand new one. When you pray for guidance, name the aid you seek and answer one. I will describe the aid that actually comes as I answer the other. So these two questions are, what kind of god answers your prayers? And what unclear omens or visions besiege me?
I would actually like to answer what unclear omens and visions besiege me, because as Litany takes a step into this protected hamlet, that prayer from Tian Shen comes back to the front of their mind. Protection for their home, for this place, for that fight, for everything that has happened in the past. And I think as that is coming back into their mind, that memory, they see this mortal place, the rhythm of it, the tenor of it, the beating heart of it that they don't understand. Even when their hand was inside Longdu's chest, they didn't understand what it meant to be mortal. And here it is again. All of these mortals, what are they doing? How are they? They see the love and the empathy and everything. Everything here. And I think that hits against the inside of their chest, the inside of their soul. Even if they don't wish ill will, there is a carrying a dissonance, a low humming ring, tearing them open, and it's Suisian's face again. They check their knuckle, but there's no more blood. It's been days now. The rain washed it off.
There's no blood on your knuckles anymore, but why can you still feel the weight of it against your skin? The curse. It must be the curse. That's it, it must be the curse. Those last words falling from your mentor's lips. And tell me, Litany, what aid do you seek in this moment?
I must have guidance to the Ascension Gate. I don't belong here. Right?
I guess we'll find out. I will answer what kind of god answers your prayers. Given the nature of the shattering in this world and how gods are difficult to reach, I think what occurs is as you focus on your goal, the Ascension Gate, you feel that swell of orange inside you again. You smell a burst of it too, actual oranges, clementines? And you think of the clementines on the shrine of that god. And then I think you follow your nose, your soul, and you swivel your head in the direction of not the largest house here. No, the largest house on stilts here is a community center of sorts, but definitely a house that overlooks everything else, a house of leadership, the highest point on the hill of Mudan Village. It's leading you there. That's where you'll find answers about the Ascension Gate. Because the gate you walk through, that was not an Ascension Gate, and you don't see any pillars of blood or steepled tiles of silver-plated bone here whatsoever. And as you center yourself again, that's when you hear footsteps along this village path, and Tiansheng approaches you once more. There's a look of urgency and a little bit of confusion on her face as she comes. Hey, sorry about that. I just had to, catch up with some folks. They're going on a trip somewhere. They said I should just check in with Rui, so we should just go check in with Rui.
Who's Rui?
Oh my god, you're absolutely right. I haven't even told you anything about Rui. She's in Mudan Village. We grew up together, kind of. She grew up, and then I was there. I'm like 300-something years old, so you understand. She's only like 23. Where's the 24? No, her birthday is in 3 months, so 23. That's completely irrelevant. Follow me. And Tiansheng sets off toward that house on that hill.
Tiansheng has been Litany's mortal guide through Yaolon for 5 days now.
Yes.
And there are these momentary hiccups between them, these gulfs that seem to grow and then expand and contract, like wind, like breeze, like weather they've never experienced, the weather of her. I would like to use my vagabond move, Connie, because I have killed more than one god in this campaign.
Yes. Okay, that's a renown move, which is basically your reputation as a god killer, special things you can access because of that. Okay.
Litany is staring into the back of Tiansheng's head. As they're walking up this hill, I imagine that she's hurrying along faster than
She's like
we've
trotting
hurried.
a little. Yeah, no, she was kind of like in comparison, taking her sweet time to get here. Not like, because she is urgent to return, but kind of letting you smell the flowers and whatnot.
Yeah, and as that begins to shift and change, I would like to know, what aren't they telling me?
Oh, you're just gonna straight up ask me that?
I'm gonna straight up ask you that.
Okay.
And Litany is casting their gaze around to the rest of this village, this place. They don't know much about the mortal realm, but this is an odd place for an ascension